Hi everyone, Miss Slocum here. In this video I'm going to be showing you how to create this really pretty colorful flower. To create this drawing you're only going to need a blank piece of paper, a pencil, and some crayons. So to start, I'm going to be drawing the center of my flower, and instead of a perfect circle I'm going to draw it a little bit more wavy. My first set of petals I'm going to draw are almost going to be like U shapes or bumps, and what I'm doing is I'm going to draw them all the way around. And these are pretty big in size, but not too large. My next set of petals I'm going to draw are actually going to be growing right out of the top of those bump shapes, and these petals end on a point. My next group of petals are going to be growing in between of that last set of petals, and these are just going to be U-type shapes again. So I'm going to go ahead and put those in between all of my bigger petals. My last set of petals are going to be my largest ones, and I'm going to have them growing in between those bigger U-shaped ones that I just drew. And some of these are probably going to go right off the page, and that's fine. You don't need to squeeze them in to fit on the paper. It actually looks better if you make this flower go right off the paper. Now at this point you could actually choose to make your flower even bigger by continuing petals in between your last set of petals all the way around, or you can do what I'm going to do, which is to just add a stem coming right off of the bottom. And I'm going to throw 2 leaves on that stem. When you're done drawing your flower in pencil, your next step is to use a black crayon or a black marker to trace over all of your pencil lines. This step really makes your flower pop from the background, and it'll make it stand out a little bit more when we color it in with crayon later. I'm also going to use that black color to create some texture dots in the middle of my flower, and then use an eraser to go through and erase any extra pencil lines that might be peeking through. Now it's time to color. I'm going to start off with this red-violet color, but you can pick whichever color you'd like to start with. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to play around with pressure control. So closest to the center of my flower, I'm going to press pretty hard with that crayon so I get a nice dark shade in there. And then the tips of those petals, I'm actually going to press very light. So you should see a nice gradient or a slow change of color from that dark red-violet to that much lighter red-violet at the tips of my petals. See if you can do this with your crayon. You're going to continue this, experimenting with your pressure control all the way around the center of your flower on that first set of petals. Now I've sped up the next part of this video a lot, so feel free to pause or rewind if you need steps repeated, or you just need a little bit more time to add that color in there. So you'll see now I'm going in with an orange, and I'm still repeating that same pressure change step where I'm coloring darkest closest to the center and a little bit lighter on the tips. And with each new row of flowers, I'm going to use a different color. I'm trying to go for a bit of a rainbow theme here, so I started with that red-violet, and then I'm moving to an orange, a yellow, and then finally a green for my outermost petals. This next step is optional, meaning you don't have to do it unless you really want a challenge. So I'm looking at my flower petals, and I would like to see a little bit more of a gradient. So I'm going to start on my outer petal, and what I did is I picked a slightly darker green than I used to color it at first, and I'm just going in closer to the center of my flower and adding in a bit of that darker color. Same thing with my orange. I'm going to grab slightly darker orange, and closest to the center I'm going to make it a little bit darker. For my yellow, I'm going to grab a yellow-orange to darken those petals, and then I'll probably put some pink on top of my red-violet. So I've just showed you an example of what it looks like on every different color petal that I have, and I really like the way that looks, so I'm gonna go and carry that all the way around my flower. It's now time to color our stem. Now I'm going to use a similar technique that I used on my petals. I'm going to color half of my stem using a lot of pressure. I'm going to press pretty hard, and then I'm going to color the rest of my stem a little bit lighter so I can see a nice color change there. Same thing with my leaves. Half of the leaf will be dark and the other half will be light. You might even take this a step further by going in with a dark blue, just to make it a little bit more dramatic of a shade. Okay, time for the center of our flower. I'll be using purple because purple is my favorite color, but again, you can choose any color you want. I'm starting by just putting down a simple shade of purple, coloring in the same direction. I'm going to fill in that whole center. Now I'm going to start swirling some darker purple in there just to kind of get some texture going on in the center of my flower. I'll blend that in using like a pinkish purple color. I'm going to recolor over everything, and then I'm going to finish it off with that dark purple again, and I'm going to try to trace over those dots that I drew in the center with the black marker earlier. We want our center to look a lot different than our petals, so we know it's the middle of our flower and not just another petal hiding in there. The only thing left to color now should be our background, which is going to be like a sky. So I'm going to pick a nice pretty blue, any blue that I like, and I'm going to gently and neatly color in around my flower. Now, if you know me, you know I love mixing colors. So I'm going to find a lighter blue than the blue I first used, and I'm going to color over the top of my sky and slowly fade it down towards the bottom of my page. So now we have another gradient in our artwork. Once you're done coloring your sky, you're all finished. I really like this artwork, and it gives you a chance to be as creative as you want to be with your color choices and your flower petal shapes. I hope you enjoyed. I know I had fun creating this, and I can't wait to draw with you again. All right, until next time, bye-bye.